Probably the last review you expected to see from me. I watched Orphan First Kill earlier, which was interesting as a double feature with that and the first Orphan, because I'd actually never seen the first Orphan properly until yesterday. And so I was able to finally watch that in its entirety, then go into this one and just try and figure out what my thoughts are on each of them. I understand why the first one has a bit of a cult following now, though, because it's the kind of movie that is so campy and silly at times, but has these moments in there that, in terms of pop culture, would be gold for a lot of people. And it makes sense that it has stood the test of time, and it stood the test of time enough that 13 years after that movie, we're getting a prequel film that tells essentially an origin story to this character, who has been a bit of a loose cannon, to put it mildly, ever since the start. And this movie follows that, and then eventually her ending up with a family that is probably going to take care of her, but eventually things start to go horribly wrong, and you get a variation of sorts of this story when you watch the first Orphan movie, in which they do describe certain things. So you basically see those events play out, with some twists, which I can't really go into because that would ruin the entire movie, and I don't want to do that for anyone. There are a few roles that you can just tell someone is having such a great time with. You just want to see anything and everything that they'll do as that character. And I feel like Isabelle Fuhrman as Esther is one of those performances where you can clearly tell she's having a ball playing this character. And honestly, if she wants to do 3 or 4 movies more, like if she just wants to try and pull off this character as much as possible till the utmost degree, more power to her, and I think you should sign off on that instantly. That is, of course, if this one gets the kind of reception that the first one does, which I hope it does. Because if you think the first one was campy and silly at times, and you thought, it could go a little more campy and silly at times, I think, then Orphan First Kill is going to be your movie of the year. It's much more than that, and it actually manages to be even more self-aware of this, which I think is a good thing. Something that I feel like the first one sort of struggled with was trying to be something that was more serious and mature, but then becoming something campier and more silly. Like, you have to strike that balance in knowing what you are. Somewhat like, I know this is like a crazy example, but Malignant. Like last year, I loved that movie because it knew what it was and it committed to that through and through. And I feel like in a lot of ways, this might be this year's Malignant, because there's moments in it and things that happen that I was like, yeah, you know what? The reactions, there might be some similar ones. And this movie is so committed to being that I have to respect it as much as I was watching it. And once again, you get gonzo performances, especially from Fuhrman. But Julia Stiles, who I think is an actress who's always been awesome, really kills it here. She's awesome in this movie. I can't, again, talk too much about things that happen around these supporting characters, because spoilers, but she's great in the film. It's just great seeing Julia Stiles again just killing it, man, because I think she's awesome, and I just want to see her in more stuff these days, not just go back to the Bourne movies. I also really like the direction over here. Again, it's very similar to the first movie in that it has a bit of a similar build-up. It starts off with a slightly more mellow tone, although it is a little more heightened in this one with a lot of other stuff happening. But at the same time, it builds into things a little bit gradually and then goes full camp at one point, which it does follow certain things like the first movie does in that sense. Like, there are certain structures that, in place here that are exactly like that movie. Although some moments are maybe a little bit more muted in respect to others. Like, there's one scene that happens which is a little more extended and elongated in the first film that is much, much briefer in this this movie. And I think that's also okay. Like, obviously they're trying to make those parallels happen. But I also think that works in the favor of this movie because it's only an hour and a half long. The other one is 2 hours long, and I thought that the first movie dragged a little longer than it was supposed to. And so I'm kind of okay with them taking a shorter runtime in order to, sort of keep the storytelling tight. And I think that they did. I mean, it's not a flawless movie by any means, but let's get to the thing that is the fun thing, the thing you want to see. The nasty, gruesome moments, are they worth your time? They absolutely are. I mean, this movie really goes for it, and there are some moments that are, I hate to say crowd pleasing, but they might actually get some responses. Like, some people might actually see those kills and be like, yeah, I'm loving this. So yeah, I mean, I think there is something in here for most people, and I think if you just like sort of enjoy it for what it is and you take in, take in the movie on that value, I don't see a situation where you don't walk out of it at least a bit satisfied. Like, I feel like that's at least going to happen. But if you really want me to go into flaws, yeah, it's a messy movie. There's definitely inconsistencies in the way that it's written, some predictable beats all the way through. There's a lot of stuff, like I said, that's somewhat repeated, and like, although parallel to the first movie, it still plays out like it's like the first movie, so you kind of know what's gonna happen. And so there's a couple of things like that throughout there. There's some moments here where they sort of bridge the gaps between those two movies. Like, you'll see something and go, oh right, that's in the first one because this is why it's there. And that was really cool. There's a couple of inconsistencies I felt like at times, like in terms of even those like bridging the gap moments. Maybe I was just noticing that, but it could have been a little better at those points. But like I said, movies committed to being one thing. As long as you know what you are, I think that's a good thing. I'm gonna give Orphan First Kill a 7 out of 10. It's out in theaters, but it's also streaming on Paramount Plus, so if you want to check it out at home, you can do that as well. It's also available digitally if you want to just purchase it, so there's multiple options in how to watch this movie, and that extends across the world, so definitely do check it out. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the movies.